How's Dorian looked in practice this week?
Dorian's done a nice job. Been good, been through everything. So we'll continue to monitor all situations with everybody. But he's been good all week. So.
I know you want to focus on this week's game and the great Wednesday and having 1 week at a time, but I'm sure you saw what happened with Cal last night and SC rescheduling.
Sure.
That means SC is going to have a bye before they play you. Does that matter to you?
Yeah, what matters to us is really, and I actually talked to Justin this morning about what happened with the COVID protocols, and that's the most important thing. So we are aware of what went on, and just trying to get to the bottom of what lessons can you learn from it. We talk about protecting our ecosystem, and it's the one thing I think people may have dropped their guard. And I'm not saying that's what happened in Cal situation. I'm just saying in general in this country, because you kind of think it's over, but you can still get the Delta variant even if you're vaccinated. So, we use that part to look at how does it affect us and what are our guys doing. And we do have just a couple players that are unvaccinated, just like Cal did. And we make sure we meet. There's groups that are meeting not in their specific meeting rooms now. We've spread them out. We really use the building. Sometimes that's why we have the big screen over there. We meet outside. We hold our team meetings outside when at all possible. Unless the meeting's going to be less than 5 minutes, then we can do something quick inside. But if it's going to be a longer meeting, we handle it that way. But that's just part of what we're doing. Whether they have an open date or not an open date isn't something we've even thought about. Because it's not worried about concentrating on what we have this week. It's just we don't have any control of it. So it's not like I can call the league and say, well, how come that happened? It's just we understand what happened. It's just the nature of where it is, and it is what it is. So we don't worry about that part of it. So.
Is Alec Anderson available?
Alec Anderson, yes, he's available today.
How's he progressing?
He's available today, so we'll see. That's part of the process of what we go through. So.
Garrett DiGiorgio, it looks like he was kind of getting some first-team reps. How has he been developing this year?
Garrett's gotten first-team reps for a long time here, so he's done a really nice job. He came in here, as a true freshman, and I think in a mindset that he wanted to play football, and has really done a really nice job in progressing with everything he's played. He's a young man that I think has a huge upside, and we're excited about his progress. Every time he's stepped in, and he's either been with the ones or the twos since we started camp. So he's filled in whenever he's got an opportunity to go with the ones. He's done a really nice job. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out as we get to Saturday.
What's been the emphasis on the defensive side of the ball this week? Can't see some improvement there.
Yeah, our emphasis is just on our opponent, and then what's the scheme and the game plan that Colorado has done. They varied a little bit. They threw the ball a little bit better in the last couple of weeks, so they're varying what they're doing in their attack. And really, everything you do specifically in the game week is based upon what your opponent, what looks are they going to present. Obviously, they got a really talented running back in Broussard, and then they've got a quarterback who's actually very athletic. So the zone read game and him being able to keep the ball is part of what they do also. So, but it's really been team specific in terms of preparing for Colorado and what they're going to present to you. They'll play multiple personnel groups. There's some 2 tight ends. There's some 4 wide receivers. They kind of vary what they do. They don't just line up in one set grouping and just stay with that the entire game. So it's the ability for us to be in base, ability for us to be in nickel, ability for us to be in dime, and then trying to match what their personnel groups are doing.
You mentioned the coaching staff there was kind of like a need to be better, teach better a little bit on defense for the players to see some improvement last week.
I don't think I said that.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Okay. I think I said is that everybody has to get better every day. So that's part of the entire process. We all want to be better than we were the day before, whether it's teaching, coaching, administrating, playing, learning, all those other things. That's what our goal is that you've never arrived in anything you do. So it's about constant, steady improvement, and that's what we're continuing to do on everything we do. That's always been kind of our mindset and our mantra. There's not a time where you said, hey, we got this. I think the day you say you got this is you're probably going to get passed on by something. So you're always trying to strive to do things better than you've done before, and that's what I mean by that process. So.
For the coaching staff specifically, what do you guys want to do better for this week?
We want to beat Colorado, so it's implementing the game plan that we have to do to give our players the opportunity. That's our job as a coaching staff, create an opportunity where our players have put them in a situation for them to be successful, and that's what our game plan's all about.
When you watch Lewis on film and prepare for him, are there any similarities to the other quarterbacks you faced the last couple of weeks?
I think some of the athletic kids that we faced the ability that they can hurt you in the run game. And I think that's when you have to start to talk a lot about your rush lanes and your discipline in your rush lanes, because it's the unscripted plays with athletic quarterbacks like that. I think it's the same challenge that people have when they face Dorian. A lot of some of the things that Dorian does that really hurts defenses is that, they've done a great job in coverage, and all of a sudden Dorian then takes off and runs. But if you're playing some man coverages and you're running with your receiver and your back is to the quarterback, so to speak, makes it very difficult. So then, are you implementing a defense that has a spy that's just responsible for the quarterback? If you are, you've got one less guy in coverage. But when you're playing athletic quarterbacks, sometimes those are things you have to do. So, but you can't play one defense the entire game. You have to vary what you do in terms of do that. But I think whenever you face that athletic quarterback, I think the ability for that guy to extend plays and scramble and throw the ball on unscripted plays, or to just tuck it and run, are things that you got to prepare for and try to simulate in the practice situations.
With regards to Colorado's defense, even though he's been injured off and on, facing one of the better linebackers in the conference in Landman, what do you see in him?
We've always had great respect for him. I think he's one of the top linebackers in our league. He has not played in the last 2 weeks, I think. So we're not sure if we're going to see him. We are preparing for him to play. He's really good at keying and diagnosing plays. He never really gets fooled, by most schemes. He always seems to be in the right spot at the right time. Can fit up plays really, really well. You try to simulate as much as you can in practice. But I don't think anybody can actually simulate how just really instinctual he is. And he's been that way for a couple of years, so he's tough to handle. But we'll see where he is. Again, he hasn't played. I think it's the last 2
weeks.
But we'll prepare like he's going to play, just like anybody else. I think it would be shame on you to say, well, we're just going to prepare like he's not going to play, and then all of a sudden he plays and go, oh, we weren't ready for this. But it's really dealing with an instinctual linebacker that understands and knows where there are sometimes, and we've done this before, is you actually tell the linebackers on the scout squad what play is going to be run, so they don't have to key and diagnose it. They know that, here comes a pass, so even though it's play action, they're not going to give you as much of a fake, because that's the type of guy Nate is. Nate's going to be able to figure that stuff out pretty quickly too. So there's a way to try to simulate that, but we just got to be really conscious of where 53 is if he's in the team.
You kind of answered my next question, which was, how hard is that process to simulate a guy like him, and you're working with your scout team, and they can't be him?
Yeah, I think the cheat code is when you tell them to play beforehand. So here comes a sweep play. So now he's got to, and then where does he got to fit the sweep play? He's got to fit over the top of it. So you can tell the linebacker before the play, they're going to sweep. We need you to fit over the top. So you're giving them kind of the answers to the test. They don't have to key and diagnose it like the players that are going to play against us on Saturday are, because they don't know the play before it starts. But when you play the great linebackers, the Luke Kuechly's, the Ray Lewis's, guys like that, it's like they almost know your play before you know your play. And that's really what an instinctual linebacker is. He understands and has studied the blocking scheme so well that he knows what's the quick visual cue for him to say, hey, it's this play and I've diagnosed it, and then to get to where I got to be. And so when how we do it from a scout standpoint is we'll actually tell our inside linebackers what the play is beforehand. So as we're calling our play on the sideline, as our GAs are lining up our scout squad, they'll give them, and that's noted on the script, hey, it's linebackers lining up an A gap and a 10 alignment, but it's sweep to the right. Tell him we need him to fast flow on this. So you tell him before the play, so you almost see him leaning and moving. But that's what you actually see on tape from Nate, because he can tell something, whether it's backfield alignment, the sets of the offensive line, how much weight is on their hand, how much weight is back on their hand. All of those different variables go into the defensive player being able to key and diagnose that. But how do you get a scout squad player to figure that out? Is basically just tell them to play before it happens. So.